Hello and welcome to 20 Lore Pro. I'm SirAshtown, and joined with me today is Rémi Fortier from France. He's part of the InklessTCG community and team in France, and he is their team organizer. Rémi, how you doing today?
I'm great. I'm very happy to be with you. Weeks away from the Continental, big event for us. We are training hard, taking the time we are right now to speak about it. I'm sure it's going to be helpful for me to organize the best I can.
I think speak for the whole Lorcana community when I say this, but we're all waiting in anticipation to see kind of the top players come to the EU and compete. It's really an interesting time because we don't have a major tournament leading up to the Continentals. The EU Continentals is going to be the establishing event for the meta. So I'm really excited to see what happens and to talk to you today kind of a little bit about strategy and how people can be preparing going into the tournament. Before we jump into it, would love to learn more about yourself and kind of your history with trading card games. So could you tell us just a little bit about who you are and kind of your journey across trading card games?
I live in France, in Paris. I started playing through Magic the Gathering, which is a game that is very dear to me, that shaped me as the person I am today, to be fair. I started playing when I was 12 years old, and I played my first Pro Tour at 14 years old. I was fortunate enough to qualify very young, and in fact this tournament was in Honolulu, and I celebrated my 15th birthday on the beach of Honolulu, which is a memory I'm very fond of and very dear to me. I saw the tournament, the pressure, the friends, the camaraderie, the travel. Well, everything was just awesome. So I tried my best when coming back to qualify again. And in fact, I qualified once more in Yokohama the year later and qualified a third time. And this time I won the Pro Tour. I was 16 years old at the time. I won $40,000, which was and qualified for every PTs for the years to come. So that was the one of the key moments of my life, to be fair. It really changed my life to win this tournament. From here, I played all the PTs for years and years. And I came back a few years later. At this time, I was working as a consultant in a consulting firm, and I was working on the theory of organizations when organization wanted to change. So I was studying the management theories and all. And in fact, doing this, I saw, in fact, many things that could be useful for training and preparing for PTs. I started taking those theories to try to implement them into the preparation we had. So I made a slow transition to organization, in fact.
Wow, that's pretty incredible to hear. And especially at such a young age to make it to the Pro Tour, but then also do it multiple times and to win. I mean, that's incredible. It shows kind of your ingenuity and how you're able to take a TCG, see the strategy behind it, and then do well and perform well within it. That's so incredible. I can see how that plays into being a team organizer and helping with strategy.
Yeah, it's very useful. Well, in fact, thank you for the compliments. But there are players that are very incredible that I've met through my career. I have one in my mind who's playing Magic today. Still, it's Jean-Emmanuel Depraz, who is the French world champion, not reigning world champion. He was the one from last year, and he's one of the most incredible players that I've seen. And I learned a lot from having the chance to meet all those people. In fact, at some point, I stopped playing Magic in last March. In fact, I was looking for a job, and one of my friends offered me the opportunity to come into EDF Renewables, which is the French leading company for energy. And in fact, that friend was playing Lorcana. And he said to me, well, you played Magic, you see, we could play Lorcana at some lunch and at some lunch break, which we did. And in fact, I got hooked up once again from here and started playing because, well, I was new to this job and he was my friend, showed me the game. That was great. And in fact, he was part of Inkless already. And I met the team and started playing in the team with all the players. And from there, I started to take my part into the team.
Wow, that's pretty incredible. Just having a friend that got you into Lorcana. What set was that in? Was that in the very beginning, or was that kind of a couple sets in that you jumped in?
No, it was last March, so it was the third set. In fact, yeah, it was kind of not natural for me to play Lorcana.
I've heard from a lot of players who have gone from playing Magic the Gathering into Lorcana that they're very similar to one another and that it's a pretty seamless transition. There are some differences, but did you feel like the transition from Magic into Lorcana was easily done for yourself, or do you feel like there were some challenges in the strategy and game mechanics?
Well, I would say that the very first steps of learning the game are quite easy because the turns plays out quite the same. You have some mana, your cards have a cost, so there are a lot of similarities that you can build on to find your way into the game. But once you go deeper into the game, well, this is where you find the big differences, and you understand that Lorcana is really has its own thing, and in fact it's not only about learning about it, it's also about discovering it, which is maybe one of the parts that I like the most in Lorcana, because the game is quite new. 1 year for a game. Well, when you come from a game that has 30 years of histories and books and theories and everything, well, in Magic you have in fact a lot more to learn than to discover when you start the game. In Lorcana, a lot of things you have to invent them yourself. In fact, what is your relationship with uninkable cards? How many uninkable should you play in your deck? Well, it depends on the deck. What is a good number? But is it a special case? So you have so many things to invent. That is the intellectual challenge that I like the most in Lorcana right now.
Yeah, that's a really great point, that just because you kind of know game mechanics, similar keywords, similar abilities, that doesn't mean that they translate one for one into a new environment that you see, like you were saying, into a new space. Well, talking a little bit about InklessTCG, could you tell us about the organization and what the team looks like today and how y'all are kind of prepping getting into the Continentals for EU?
The Inkless team was born out of a local game store community. It was a store in the center of Paris, which is called Play-In, and the community playing there were people who were liking playing together. And at some point they created a Discord, and that Discord in fact created the team. So that's how it's done. So since it's a local game store team based in the beginning, we are a lot. We are 30 actually today in the team, which is quite numerous for a team, and has some organizational challenges, and I like those. And to be fair, I'm not the only one in the team who like those. We are many players who are giving a thought or two into the organization. It's also because we need to have organization. When you are 30, if you don't put thoughts into how you are going to train, how you are going to do the logistics, or you are going to organize the Discord, well, it's going to be a mess, in fact. So it's a necessity for us to be well organized. So that's the big picture of the team. This is something we're doing a lot, taking the corporate theories and putting them into the team. It's something we do a lot. Every Monday, we are training together online, and we usually have a theme that we took all together. For example, how can we beat Steelsong? For example, that's a theme that we've had. Everyone comes out with one answer, which is usually a deck with a list, and we play Steelsong against all the IDs we had. We play that for 1 hour and a half, and after this hour and a half, we do a debriefing where everyone shares what they learned, and at the end, we try to get ourselves a conviction over how to beat Steelsong, and this goes from there, and then those information all go to nourish the Discord channels. So this is one ceremony we have. We have another one which is on Tuesday. We go onto a store which is called the Atmos Arena, which is in the center of Paris, where We play also, and we do our best in the games, but it's a chill place, love with your friends. So those are two important ceremonies for us. And the last one is the tournaments. When they are, in fact, we are trying to play every tournament that happens in France and in Europe. In fact, it depends on how we can go there. So it's basically that's the way we're structured. We're using a methodology that we used back in Magic, which is called the wall. The idea is that every format has a best deck, and this best deck is the wall. And whenever you have a new ID, a new brew, a new deck, a new anything, you must play it against the wall. And if you beat the wall with that, then we see what are the next step for your deck or ID or whatever. The idea of that is to have a clear process on how to dismiss an ID, because if you don't have it structured, in fact, you always end up into, well, I like my ID, and you see, it can be a mess, in fact. And I will come back on the fact we are 30, and when you are 30, you need to be organized. You need to have processes. Yeah. And the one we have is the walls. So in the Discord, we have one category which is named the wall. Then we have a list which we call the contenders, which is another category, which are all the decks that did beat the wall and that are in the process of being fine-tuned. And we have another categories, which is called the challengers, which are all the decks that we've built and that didn't play against the wall already, and they are getting prepared to do that. That's our methodology. We in fact play the contenders against the wall. Basically, we do that. And on the tournaments we play the decks we think are the best at the moment with the information that we have.
Wow, that is really organized and straightforward way of testing. You have the competitive scene with your 30 players, you're testing out a deck to see what you've learned from it. Then you're coming together in a social environment, more casual, where you're able to enjoy each other's company while also still playing. And then I love the last thing that you talked about, the wall. That's really insightful. I think that can really help a lot of people as they're preparing to go into a major tournament.
Yeah, and it can be improved, of course. So if people have more ideas about it, feel free to send them to me. I would be very happy to have new ideas.
Well, how has that strategy, that way of practicing and strategizing, how has it played out with Inkless so far? Have y'all had some major finishes amongst your 30 members or anyone who has qualified for the Continentals without having to go to the last chance qualifier?
So far, we have 4 players that are qualified for the Continental. I want to give a shout out to them. So we have Clément Fizade, Pierre Guillemot, who went into the finals of Bologna, Kevin Chiche, and Louis Mercier, who are 4 Parisian players from Inkless. All 4 of them qualified. So, of course, our methodology are work in progress, and it was not the same in the very first tournament that it is today. Of course, it's a living organism. We believe that on the battlefield, you learn things that you can't learn at home in front of your computer, because you will learn how to what's the relationship with judges, for example. How to deal with that judges that is looking at your game. It will affect you. How do you stay concentrated within the game when there's that? It helps you to learn how to play when there is a lot of sound, when you have little space. It learns you how to play when you have little sleep because you had to wake up very early. It learns you how to get all the things packed up for the tournament. We have an acronym that we are using, which is coming from the army, 8 or 9 letters, I don't remember. And each letter means something. And it's kind of a checklist, in fact. And if you cross all the checks, well, then you have everything you need for the tournament. But so we are adding things. All in all, now we are learning how to be precise into what we share to our teammates. Because whenever you say something, it's always it's unbeatable or unlosable, or you are always in the big way of saying things. Well, it's hard for your teammates because they don't really know what they don't have the nuance they need. So it's something we are working on the wording, in fact.
I think it's really impressive because one of my favorite movies, you may have seen it, may not have, but it's called Moneyball. And
yeah, of course.
It's just the fact that there was a built-in strategy to the system that had been carried on for decades in baseball. and he took it and revolutionized it and questioned it. And at first people freaked out about it because you're changing the system. I think it reminds us to continually ask ourselves, how can we improve? Could we do something better? How can we advance this to the next level? And I like your other point about communication, because like you were saying, something might be, hey, that might be unbeatable, but what makes it unbeatable? Hey, this card in that deck is very troublesome against these decks. Or, hey, I don't know how to play against this line of play when that deck does this. And those are things that can help grow as you try to defeat a deck that you think is hard to defeat.
Yeah, exactly. And you see, you are making here a point. You, in the start of your sentence, you said unbeatable, and now at the end you said hard to beat. There is a difference here already. You see, this is the places where we try to work hard, because in fact a matchup is a number. You are playing a win rate percentage, and if you are ahead of, if you win 60% of the matches, or if you win 70% of the matches, in both cases it's a good matchup, of course. But something being good or being extra good or being, you see, those are very different things. And based on that, you will make different deck calls, and that is why we need to be very precise on this. Well, sometimes we are making some Excels where we try to modelize this. We have a player who is very good at this, who's called Pierre Dagen, who is coming from Magic 2. He's incredible at doing. He has an Excel where you put numbers and it does magic at the end. I don't know what's the inside of it, but I always see it, and it's always very impressive. But and for him, if you say to him the matchup is 30% or 35%, then it changes everything, and maybe the deck he will advise at the end will be different based on that. So we have a long way on working on this. We've been working on that since some months already, but it's a work in progress. And we are learning to do that, but there are so much more things that we need to learn. In fact, to organize ourselves, we need to learn how to book the flights, to be sure that we have the same flights or not, or that everyone has their. Well, so we have so many questions to answer. It's an incredible challenge from the organizational side, and the game itself is also a challenge. So yeah, we are. I just like it.
Now, as the team organizer, are you still also then playing in these tournaments too, trying to also qualify, or do you see yourself in more of a mentor role, helping with the establishment to help the rest of the team to do their best at tournaments?
Well, I'm playing first because I enjoy it. I'm trying also my best to be the best player I can, which is something important for me. Also, if you are not on the ground, you don't understand the organization, and that's important, because at some point in the organization, you will have to make strategy choices. You will have to say, well, this week we will be playtesting against Green Steel, for example. And that is a strategy choice. And if you don't understand the game deep, if you are not hands-on into the game, well, you won't be able to make those choices. So it's important for that. And lastly, well, you said I'm the team organizer, which has some truth, but in fact, we are many into the team who are putting thoughts in this. I'm not alone, of course. In fact, we are many. And it's very important, because one person alone can't be true. You need the others to complete the puzzle, and that's very interesting. And well, we are in a community in many aspects.
Yeah, that's something that I think is really cool, that Inkless kind of formed from a local trading card store in France, and y'all have become what you are today. As an American, being here in Texas, we have our own community in the Texas Lorcana scene. It's evolved in its own way, and it's a lot of fun, and I enjoy it. But a lot of people don't have a lot of insight into what Lorcana is like in France. So for people like myself, could you kind of walk us through what a normal tournament would be like at an LGS, and kind of what you see are the differences in some of the meta, or at least the play styles of players in France compared to others?
Well, the Lorcan scene in France is all the rage. It's incredible. We've had 2 tournaments lately that did hit 600 players for non-official tournament.
Oh my gosh.
And one other did hit 1,000 players in Paris 2 weeks ago. So that's a lot for France. And in fact, even in Magic, I have rarely seen tournaments hitting those numbers while not being official. So the Lorcana scene is something right now. There are. I go to a store every Friday, which is called La Compagnie des Jeux in Nanterre. An incredible store, very family vibes and all. Here we are seeing new people every week. So Lorcana is hitting hard in France, which is incredible. And we have many teams in the country. Many teams who qualified for the Continental. In fact, there is a team in Rouen who won 2 majors. They have 3 golden Mickey Mouse into the team, which is something. I would have loved to take the opportunity to share a word about every team, but there are too many. In fact, even in Paris, we're not the only team. There are multiple teams who qualified for the Continental. So
Wow.
Lorcana in France is big right now.
That's really great to hear, because it sounds like friend groups are coming together. They're wanting to play at the next level, so they're helping each other get there. And there's been some success. It's paying off.
Yeah, exactly. And there is a friendship in between the teams. We are helping each other. We are, in fact, play testing for the team Euro. In fact, I'm the lead organizer for the Euro. So the Euro team, we are playing in a bootcamp this weekend. We are meeting all we are 14, and we meeting all 14 this Friday to play all the weekend to play test for this. First, the game is great. That's something that you can't have such a momentum without a great game. So that's the case. We are having great stores. That helps. We have many stores in Paris, many stores into the country, so that helps. We are having tournament organizers. They are key, because if there are no tournaments, people don't meet, people don't enjoy the game, people don't. So that's very important too. We have community-based initiatives that are being made.
I mean, I think outside of an official tournament, I don't know if I've been to one that was over 600 people in one event. I mean, that's impressive.
On an organizational point for us players, in fact, it's a blessing as competitive players, because you have competitions of the size of the game. In fact, the bigger the game, the bigger the competitions, and the better the players. And the bigger the prizes and etc. So for us, it's a blessing, and we have to never forget that the players who are making the game living, in fact, are not the competitive players, because we are much less. The casual scene who's making the game living, and the competitive side of the game, in fact, is a marketing side of the game. We are making the marketing of the game as competitive players, and we must never forget that the casual scene is key, and it's working very great for Lorcana, because, well, people like having Disney cards in their home because they like Rapunzel or some sort of, I don't know, but that's very important. So that's why I was saying that the lore in Lorcana is doing a lot, and looking forward to have it continue this way.
Talking about the EU team, are y'all trying to practice and prepare for Worlds? Is that kind of like one of your end goals with that team? Or is it more so teams collaborating together, getting ready for Continentals, and then the future focus whenever it does come, possibly preparing for Worlds?
One step at a time. For now, we are trying our best for the EU. We'll see after that. In fact, that is part, and well, I will only speak for Inkless here, because the EU team is many teams, but for Inkless, we've been working a lot on expectations, because it's through the expectations that you are building the deception. If you think that you are going to a tournament to win it, and you end up being second, well, you didn't achieve your goal. But it's not that bad, right? The issue of a game is not within your control. What's under your control is how well you play, how well you prepared. Did you get enough sleep last night? Did you drink water or energy drinks? This is on your control, and this is where we put all our efforts. But the goals, well, am I under control of my goal? Let's say I'm playing first round against the best player in the room or the best player in the world. What can I do about that? Well, what I can do is do my best into the game, and maybe I will lose, but winning or losing is not under my control. In fact, what is playing my best. So no goals. We are doing our best for the EU, and we will see where it will lead us.
You're right. When you draw, there's a chance that you draw very poorly, but can you make the best line with the dealt cards that you have? And if you can do that and say that you did your best, you made the best lines you could, even if you lose, you're going to feel very good because you know you did the best you could with what was presented to you. The prep time takes a lot of dedication to do that.
That's a whole journey to come out to this conviction. I don't say it's easy for everyone. It's an everyday job, but we're trying our best to do so, and it's been very helpful to us. Because also there is also something is that at tournament card games you will lose a lot. It will happen a lot. You will very often travel very far and come back with nothing. That's the hard truth. And if every time you only care about did I win, well, the journey is not going to be very pleasant, in fact. And you need the journey to be pleasant. It's a game. You need to enjoy it. So we are trying to find the enjoyment into the process and not into the outcome. Is that you enjoy going to the training because it's just the training and it's enjoyable, not only because the training is going to get you better for this tournament and your goal is blah blah blah. You need to. That's why the Tuesdays that I've talked to you about, which are, of course, we are playing the game and we are fighting hard when we're playing. But there is also the big moment where we love with the friends. All of that needs to be replicable. That's the whole point, because we are not running a sprint. We are running a marathon. It's going to last for years. If one player dreams about being the best player in the world, for example, it's going to last for years. I know Jean-Emmanuel Desprats from Magic, and I'm very blessed to have been able to see his whole blossoming, I would say. And in fact, it took him many years of dedication, of art practice, of patience and all. So if we want to do that, the experience needs to be enjoyable.
Really insightful, Rémi. I really appreciate you sharing kind of your philosophy and your outlook into tournament preparation, team preparation. I think that'll go a long way for a lot of people who have thought about becoming a competitive player, or those teams out there that are looking to take their play to the next level. Kind of talking about deck strategy, especially with Azeroth Sea in this closed format. I say closed format, but goodness, I mean, a 600 player tournament, 1,000 player tournament, you may have seen more of an established meta in Europe than we have seen in America. So talking a little bit about deck strategy and what people can keep in mind as they're preparing for a tournament and looking at Azeroth Sea, what are some of the most powerful cards that you've seen in Lorcana as a whole?
Well, there are two cards that stands out for me. The one is Rapunzel. It's the mid-range perfect card. It does everything. Of course, it's inkable. The body is great, and the punition, the threat of it is incredible. You can win games because your opponent went into the lore with their Pete, and well, you attack into it with your Ursula and draw 3 cards, and well, you won the game. That's incredibly powerful as a card, and it lasts for 2. Just the body is just insane. But it's a mid-range card. It has a roof. At some point, well, of course, you are going to draw 3 cards, but it's a 3, not 13. And one card that has a roof that is even bigger, it's a whole new world. that card has the power in itself to break the game, to be fair. Those cards in Magic often did very nasty things. But for now, the game designers have been doing a great job at keeping a whole new world as a great card, but not a broken card. But I'm hoping that they will keep doing this great job, because this card. Well, imagine at some point you could have a deck playing all their hand and doing multiple a whole new world on the first or second turn. Let's just for 1 minute imagine this.
Right.
The cards are not ready for this in the game right now, so that's cool, that's great, but that could happen, and well, it's the card with the biggest potential.
Something that I've heard from like Beta Candy 07, he plays Amber Steel quite a bit, big player here in America, but he loves Rapunzel because of its power. And you're right. I mean, there's a reason why cards like Wheel of Fortune are banned in Magic, because once they have any type of support, I mean, even without any support, the card is just amazing. Draw 7 cards, you can sing it with a character, still have all of your ink available to make all the plays with all the fresh cards. Those are 2 really great picks, and I can understand why you choose them as some of the most powerful cards in Lorcana right now. For those players who are looking to kind of make that next step, going into competitive play and want to become better, what are some tips for those newer players kind of stepping up to the field that you might have to help them increase or make their gameplay better?
If I had to pick only one to someone who will be starting, I would say find a team. The journey is going to last long. You need it to be enjoyable. You won't learn everything by yourself. You need people to learn from them. You need people to play game against. You need people to share a car to go to the tournament and make the price lower. You need people to share a sleeping room also. And it's, in fact, after 30 years of Magic, of 20 years of Magic on my side, in fact, the friends I made along the way are counting for me, maybe even more than the dearest victories I have. So that's what I would say to someone. You won't get alone where you want to go, in fact. But that's true if you want to make a competitive journey. But that's also true if you are casual, or if you are making collection, or and all. In fact, it's the others that are making the game great. The game is great, of course, but it's the people you are sharing it with that make it very enjoyable.
One of my philosophies of life, theology, is that we are people who are built for community. When we are alone, it's harder to fight the good fight, to make it another day. But when you have people around you to help lift you up, to celebrate with you, to enjoy life, it becomes that much sweeter. And so I love to hear you say that really finding a team can be one of the number one things that newer players should do, whether it be social or competitive. Both can contribute greatly to how you enjoy the game and how you play the game. Kind of on that same branch, what do you think is one of the biggest mistakes that players make in Lorcana right now?
Something that I often see is the dream to break the format. We're always losing ourselves into the dribs and drabs of being a deck builder, being an inventor. You see, I love innovation and all, and you will craft an incredible deck and make it all the way with it, maybe. But in fact, just playing the normal decks with the best cards, it's much more replicable, and you will find it will be much easier to win through the normal decks, the most established archetypes. And that doesn't mean you can pursue innovation into that. That just means that the innovation you put into fine-tuning, finding one card to improve. Or you can also find innovation into a certain way of playing a matchups. Matchups can be played in a lot of ways. In fact, I remember something that happened in Lorcana, is that in the back when there was Bucky and playing against Ruby Amethyst, in fact, the good strategy for Ruby Amethyst was to not play cards in order to ink to 7 mana to be able to cast Be Prep, and here you would win. And one of the shortest way to lose was to play cards at all, because then you had less cards into your hand. You were getting discard all your hands, and you couldn't reach the 7th mana to be able to top deck, be prepared. So, and here you see something. Well, not playing cards can be a strategy. So through that, to me, I learned that innovation can come from many parts, but innovation through deck building, well, of course that can work, but I think people are putting too much thoughts and efforts into that.
Yeah, I think deck building in and of itself, that's something that's not already known, is incredibly hard to do. It's not something that everyone can do, and even those who do it, they don't find success often. I mean, once you see a meta there, like you were saying, it really either takes you having small innovations or noticing a gap that then brings a strategy back to life. And I almost say this is an example from like Zan Saeed with his win. He used Emerald Steel even though Bucky had been errataed. Nobody was playing on the main stage. He brought it back, and it was a deck that was already established. It already had a playset, but no one was prepared for it because we had forgotten about it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a very good example, in fact, Zanside gone through innovation into an archetype and not innovation of an archetype. And maybe he had, I haven't seen all the matches he played, but maybe also in the way he was playing, he was very precise, able to find the little extra roll that makes all the difference. But to share more about innovation on deck building, I do not think it's the outcome of having great minds with great ideas that wake up on the morning with an idea who is going to that is going to conquer the world. That's not from my experience in Magic, it never happens like that. Innovation in archetypes is the outcome of processes. You need to have a team that is structured, that gets ideas, because good ideas the outcome of a lot of bad ideas. You need to test a lot of bad ideas to get one good idea. So you need to have a whole process to be able to test a lot of ideas, like the wall I was saying, for example, in order to be able to dismiss ideas very easily, to test a lot of them, because sometimes the good ideas are not the ones that are looking that good in the first sight. So you need to go beyond the evidence, and that's the hard truth. It takes a lot of time to find one good, and if it takes a lot of time, you need to have a lot of people in your team. I have some ideas about what I'm talking about, because I'm in a team where we're 30, and even at 30, with processes, with conviction about innovation, it's quite hard to find things when you find one little thing to improve in an established deck. In fact, it's hours and hours of work behind that. So the idea of someone waking up with great ideas, I just don't believe in that.
Well, Remy, we really appreciate you coming to 20 Lore Pro and giving us your insight into deck strategy and deck building, as well as tournament preparation and how your team goes about doing that. If people want to follow you or learn more about InklessTCG, where can they follow you or the team?
We are on Twitter at InklessTCG. That's kind of easy. And for myself, it's my surname _ my name. But follow Inkless. That's where we put our tournament report. You will see photos of us when you are at the tournament. You will have a sneak peek of our friends and the tournaments and the community, and you will be able to follow our adventures.
Just like Remy was saying, we will have those in the description. So if you want to follow Remy or InklessTCG, kind of following their path, especially as they're getting ready for the Continentals here coming up, find the links down in the description. We'll have those available to you. 20 Lore Pro, we are heading towards Charlie's Collectible Show, December 14th and 15th in Stone Mountain, Georgia. We're going to be streaming that event as we get prepared for the NA Continentals. And so really looking forward to how all of those events turn out.
Thank you to 20 Lore Pro. If the community is all the rage, it's thanks to a lot of actors, but also to content creators. So thank you, 20 Lore Pro, for making such great content and helping the game to be as great.
Yeah, thank you so much, Remy. Really appreciate it. But thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you, Rémi, again for your insight, and we will see y'all in the next video.